Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The budget season is here as the House of Representatives formally receives the proposed 6.793 trillion peso national budget for 2026. This comes amid persistent and growing allegations of corruption surrounding this year's General Appropriations Act. For one lawmaker, it's premature to discuss next year's budget until the issues are resolved. Let's get on point with House Deputy Speaker and Antipolo 1st District Representative Ronaldo Puno. Congressman Puno, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. Welcome to the show and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pinky, for having me.
So we're talking about a 6.793 trillion budget for 2026. This was already received by House members from the DBM. But you were saying that even before we talk about the 2026 budget, let's solve this mystery of the 2025 budget. It needs to be resolved. Congressman, what exactly should be uncovered with regard to the 2025 budget?
Well, you will remember that towards the end of last year, there was a dispute already regarding the General Appropriations Act that came out. The House of Representatives actually completed its evaluation of the General Appropriations Bill and sent it to the Senate. Now, subsequently, after the bill went through the Senate and then through the bicameral conference committee, when the law came out, several things happened. Number one, the trust fund of the PhilHealth disappeared. It went to zero. Number two, the budget of the Department of Education was reduced severely. And number three, the budget of the Department of Public Works was increased by a few hundred million. So, people complained, the president observed that this was, borderline violating the Constitution. And a lot of finger pointing happened. But I think that the blame was principally placed on the House, specifically the Speaker of the House, because there were allegations of corruption, of collusion with contractors, which allegedly led to the increase in the public works budget. But what is on record here is that the House Appropriations Bill, which ended up in the Congress, did not remove the PhilHealth Trust Fund. It did not increase the public works budget. In fact, it decreased it. And it, in fact, increased the Department of Education budget. So this is, because there's a lot of denials about who is responsible for this. This is the mystery that I think we are talking about here. And we have talked a lot about this in Congress, especially since we started this 20th Congress. And, those of us that are new have come to realize that this actually did not happen the way people thought. So apparently, the House was not responsible for this because all of the proceedings in the House were already completed when these revisions were placed on the General Appropriations Act, these objectionable revisions.
Okay, Congressman, let me interrupt you there. There's a lot that you said, and there's so many questions that have come to mind while you were saying this. Number one, maybe it's good also to lay this premise that you have not been in Congress for a long time. As I told you a while ago, we did a little bit of a background check on you, and the last time you were in Congress was sometime in 2004. Thereafter, you were DILG Secretary for the presidency of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and you were gone for a long time. The reason I'm stating this is because why is it so important for you now to clear this or to solve this mystery if you weren't even part of the 19th Congress?
Okay, since 2011, I have been the chairman of the National Unity Party. And the National Unity Party has had a presence in every Congress since then. today we have 44 members under my party. In the 19th Congress, we had, I believe, 48 members in our party. So although I was not sitting in Congress, I, of course, was presiding over the delegation of the NUP in Congress, and I was privy to most of the issues that they were facing. So I guess that's how I happen to have some kind of familiarity about
All
all
right.
of this.
So let's go back to what you were saying, because these are also very important and quite controversial. In fact, PhilHealth, if I'm not mistaken, just looking back, the PhilHealth was not given subsidy of about was it 70 billion, 70 billion, if I'm not mistaken. The Education Department's budget was slashed by about 10 or 11 billion. And then you're saying na nung ipinasa po ito sa Senado, please correct me if I'm wrong, when this was passed to the Senate, those were intact. May 70 plus billion sa PhilHealth, may plus 11 billion sa DepEd. Pero ang sabi nyo, pagdating, tama ho ba, pagdating sa Senado, bigla pong natanggal itong dalawa at nadagdag ang budget ng DPWH. My question is, sir, nung umabot ho ba sa Senado o nung umabot ho ba sa BICAM?
I think, the process is it goes to the Senate reviews it, and then prior to its being sent back to the House, there is a reconciliation of the two versions, the version of the House and the version of the Senate. Those versions are reconciled in the bicameral committee. So theoretically, if the numbers went up, then obviously it came from somewhere. It wasn't in the House version, so it must have come from the Senate version, because something was reconciled, and the result was, the actual General Appropriations Act. That could not have come from Congress, because Congress had a different set of recommendations or conclusions after the bill was referred to the Senate. It had to come from somewhere. It didn't come from the Congress. I mean, from representatives.
So would it be safe to say that it is confirmed that removal of the 70 billion in PhilHealth and 11 billion DepEd came from the Senate?
Well, I guess it had to come from somewhere, but the final version actually was arrived at in deliberations by the bicameral committee. So people are really pointing to the bicameral committee, not really
Right.
the Senate as a whole. Now, the bicameral committee was composed of members of both houses also. During those days, I think what happened was the bicameral committee was convened, and then a small committee was formed under the bicameral committee. If I'm not mistaken, a committee of 4. The rest were not privy anymore to the discussions on what happened with the budget after that. The bicameral small committee was supposed to have been composed of the leaders of the two houses, and then the chairman of the appropriations, and then the finance committee in Senate. So I think that was the composition of the small committee. That's where the final numbers were arrived at.
So it appears that what you're saying is that the House was being blamed for what was some had described as a mangled budget. And that's what basically what I'm understanding is you want to be able to clear this out, because as you were saying, those provisions in PhilHealth, the budget rather, and the DepEd were intact from the House. Now, I guess the question, Congressman, is how do we find out why and who did this?
Well, the version of the House that was sent to the Senate is actually a matter of public record. That is the General Appropriations Bill that came from the House of Representatives. The document that comes after that is the final General Appropriations Act, which actually already included those controversial additions and subtractions. So I think it's very clear from that since the responsibility of the congressman stopped when it went to the Senate, then I think the House of Representatives definitely was not responsible for this. But when it went to the Senate, it went into a bicameral conference committee. And I think that is where people are now looking at what happened. Even the entire Senate, I think the members of the BICAM committee, for example, Senator Aquilino Pimentel said at the time, and he was complaining that he was a member of the BICAM, but he never was privy to any of the discussions. Until the conclusions were there, and a deadline was set for the actual enactment of the law. So they also claimed that they didn't know anything about it. So the responsibility, I guess, points to the bicameral committee.
Yeah. But if you're saying that the budget rather was intact coming from the House at dinala po sa Senado and then nagkaroon po ng BICAM, the BICAM is composed of both houses of Congress, both leaders of Congress. So to not pin the blame on the House and just hypothetically pin the blame in the Senate, would that also be justified? Because both houses were represented in the BICAM. I guess what I'm trying to say, sir, is that if there was an issue, both houses, both members of the House were there when this was passed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we now, in the 20th Congress, we want to review it and find out. No? Because, again, when it went to the BICAM, most of the members of the House of Representatives were not privy to the discussions. I had, I think, 2 party members who were members of that BICAM, and they tell me they were not part of any of the deliberations because all the deliberations were confined to the small committee of 4. Now, in the small committee of 4, I am informed, and I think I have been convinced by the report that, for example, the Speaker, Martin Romualdez, never attended the small committee hearings. So it was the other members of the small committee. Now, what happened in the discussions there, we still don't know. That's what maybe we are curious to find out about.
Let's tell us, Congressman, who were the members of this small committee?
The Senate President, I believe it was Senator Grace Poe, and Congressman Saldico.
Just the 3 of them?
Well, Speaker Romualdez, but I don't think was attending any of their discussions.
Will there be, do you think there will be an answer, or will you get some sort of clearance or light to these questions or this mystery solved from the 3 individuals? Of course, you have Senate President Chis Escudero, former Senator Grace Poe, and then Zaldico. I mean, how will you solve the mystery now? I guess that's my question.
Here's what has happened since, no? I think both houses, Senate and the House of Representatives, have decided that this business of having a BICAM doing secret discussions has to end.
Yeah.
So both houses have already declared that the BICAM proceedings are now going to be open to the public. Members of the press are going to be invited into their proceedings. That's one. Number 2, small committees, in quotation marks, are now being discouraged. So even in the House Appropriations Committee, one of the meetings of which I attended just today, decided that there will be no small committees. In other words, these surreptitious meetings of little groups of people are going to end. No? And then third, the President launched an investigation into the projects that arose from this transfer of funds. No? I guess what Malacanang is trying to find out is who benefited from all of this. It's very difficult to find, for example, criminal or whatever responsibility in Congress. I think if it was anything, because we are legislators after all and not implementers of projects, there was probably a number of problems in the procedures that were undertaken. For example, having a BICAM committee and then having a small committee. The BICAM is already a small committee. To make it even smaller, reduce it from a couple of dozen to 4 is not really a very wise decision. Okay. So those have been changed already. So we are in a process now. It's not like I'm just starting. We have been in Congress for a few days, for weeks now, no? So, and this conversation has been going on even before the end of the 19th Congress. And I was privy to the discussions of our congressmen in the 19th Congress. So, I guess we're doing this because we don't want the same mistakes repeated in the 20th Congress and in the coming budget for 2026.
But I guess to end this, at least topic, that we're discussing, you weren't a member of the 19th Congress, but you said you had about 48 or so members in your party.
That's
What
right.
what were they telling you? Whose fault was it?
Uh, you know, uh, the 19th the 19th Congress members of NUP were not in the majority either. We have never been the majority party. We are almost always the second largest party in the House of Representatives. They were telling me that they were shut out. That they were not part of the discussions. They did not know how things happened, and that is why even as early as maybe the first quarter of this year, we already started looking into all of these things. And I guess what people have done since then have resulted in these immediate steps that you have already seen, no? That have been initiated by the 20th Congress, such as the removal of small committees, making everything more transparent. In fact, today, part of the activities in the House was giving away copies of the National Expenditure Program to civil society,
Okay.
private groups, citizen groups, and also opening up hearings and all proceedings to them.
Still lots to talk about, but we need to take a short break. We'll continue our discussion with House Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno when we return. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. Still with us, House Deputy Speaker and Antipolo 1st District Representative Ronaldo Puno. Congressman, let's talk about these flood control projects. Should the House of Representatives investigate these flood control projects possibly from 2022 to the present, or should it be done by an independent body?
Right now, the Committee on Public Accounts is undergoing an investigation into these things, but this is an investigation in aid of legislation. So let me clarify that an aid in aid of legislation is different from a criminal investigation. I think both are being undertaken now. On the criminal side, I know that there are, for example, there are groups of NBI officials that have started going into several places in the provinces that they say got more funds than were probably reasonable. So there's a criminal investigation going on in the executive branch of the government, and we are doing through the Committee on Public Accounts an investigation in aid of legislation to see if there are things that can be done to avoid any excesses in the 2026 budget and beyond.
Is it true? Would you agree? Would you submit to that number that there are about 60 plus, 67 congressmen / contractors?
I think that is probably an accurate number, yes.
And you know who they are.
Well, not all of them. In Congress, people generally know who are contractors and who are not. But the names that came out actually in terms of the investigation of the president's team actually mentioned a lot of corporations which honestly are not familiar to most congressmen. But just in normal conversation in the House, people know when generally when that is their calling, when they're contractors. And I don't know about the 67, but I take their word for it.
Do you think that a congressman should be involved in any government project? Is that even allowed? I mean, there's even an angle here that needs to be looked into when that story about SP Cheese Escudero came out about the one of the top 15 contractors that was able to corner 20% of the 500 plus billion budget. He said that that construction company is owned by a friend of his, kababayan po niya. Pero lumalabas po in the Omnibus Election Code, Section 95, if I'm not mistaken, na hindi pala pwedeng mag-donate. You should not accept any donation from an individual or a company that is involved in government projects. And then here you have what? 60 plus congressmen who are contractors?
Yes, and I understand that that criminal investigation is underway also with respect to all of these incidents. No, and I think that if there is wrongdoing there, the criminal justice system must take its course. It bothers us that that is the number of people of that sort, no, that are in Congress. Not that there's anything intrinsically wrong in being contractor, but you're correct in that there appears to be a kind of conflict of interest, and especially if they do contracts for their own districts, no? Because if they do that, that is clearly a criminal act. So on the matter of Senator Escudero, I'm not privy to the details of that, but I'd like to say that, I believe that he's a man of integrity, and it's sad that this thing has cropped up at this time because it kind of blurs what the real issue is, no, which is what the president is investigating right now. So I hope that this will not be a basis for taking attention away from what the president is doing, and I hope that the criminal investigations will continue strongly and robustly as they have.
Some individuals are saying when you talk about the cost of a project, ang lumalabas daw, Congressman, ang ginagastos lang talaga sa isang proyekto is about 30 or maybe at most 40%. You've been in Congress and you were DILG Secretary thereafter. Would you say that's accurate as well?
To be honest, in 2004, I did not see any of that at all. At all. When I was congressman, I would post the projects on the bulletin board in our district headquarters. Barangay captains would come in. They would be asked to look into the projects themselves to see whether everything was in order, and even the amounts, the contract values, etc., were always being posted publicly. Apparently, since then, because of maybe the many number of projects, I mean, this kind of direct reporting to your constituency, the district has not been as efficient as it should be. But the ones that have really been studying this are well, I know for sure Senator Panfilo Lacson, who has been against this for the past 10 years, no, and he is about to present some evidence in the Senate, I believe, that will shed light on what is going on in this sector, no. There are a lot of talk, about those kinds of numbers. The ones I heard were not quite as large, no, but they were scandalous nevertheless. And I think that the government has to get to the bottom of this. This has to stop because that's a huge amount that is being stolen, no, from the public coffers. This has to end, and to the extent that we're going to be able to contribute to putting a stop to all of that, I have asked my party and everybody else that I work with in Congress, that we should all come together and put in our 2 cents worth to try to put all of these things to a stop
And
punish the responsible people.
while you're at it, Congressman, maybe you can also discuss other areas where corruption exists, such as asphalt overlay and many other equipment, solar lights, cat's eyes, etc. Sir, sana lahatin na rin. I need to shift topics also very briefly. I maybe have 1 or 2 minutes left. Chacha, is it true you are calling for Chacha via CONCON?
Yeah, I'm one of 2 congressmen now who have been in the process of putting in resolutions for the calling of a constitutional convention. The other congressman is calling for a constituent assembly, if I'm not mistaken. And we believe that there are matters in the Constitution that require immediate updating and correction. And this is because these deficiencies have resulted in unending court cases in the Supreme Court for purposes of clarifying really simple things, no? Now, I want to make it clear from the beginning that I am not, advocating specific amendments to the Constitution. I am in favor of setting up a mechanism for addressing those problems. People are afraid that, such a move is going to head towards a parliamentary system or a unicameral legislature. Personally, I am against a unicameral legislature. I believe a bicameral legislature is the best for the Philippines. I am not in favor of a parliamentary government because if you look at Europe now, you will see that governments last maybe months and get replaced very often. So there is high instability in many countries that have parliamentary systems in their society. So I think we're fine in all of those places. But, there are things like the barangays don't have a term of office. The elections are always rescheduled. So barangay captains, which are the form of government that are closest to our people, they are at the mercy of legislation. There's a new law that's coming out that increases their term to 4 years. Now, that's a strange law because, congressmen and local officials have 3 years. The senators have 6 years. The president has 6 years. You'll suddenly come out with an even number, 4, which makes it impossible to have any kind of synchronized elections. No, I wonder about the wisdom of that. But then again, it's about to become a law. 2 years from now, somebody could come in and change the law altogether again and make the term of office 2 years or 5 years. And I think this kind of indecisiveness and instability is not doing our people in the barangays any good. So that's an example only of what to me is a reason why amending the Constitution in some respects is timely.
Just a quick follow-up, Congressman, what about the Section 11 of the 1987 Constitution? Is there anything you want changed there, especially when it talks about impeachment?
I think, we should start talking about specific periods of time. When you say that something has to be done forthwith, it doesn't say whether you'll do it in 1 day, 3 days, a week, 2 months. So it's really kind of like an arbitrary number because what immediately means to people can be different things. So that's one problem that is there. The other problem, I guess, that you need to look into in impeachment is the matter of a 1-year ban between impeachment proceedings. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled already that the impeachment petition that they refer to are impeachment petitions that end up in being referred to the Committee on Justice in the House. But then, now, again, apparently that is being revised. And there are other conditionalities that are being placed, that were placed in the decision of the Supreme Court that the House of Representatives is now has filed a motion for reconsideration on. But in order to avoid all of this, I think that the Constitution can be clearer, can be more specific and definite, so that all of these are not going to be issues that need to be analyzed every time.
And brought to the Supreme Court.
Accountability of public officials can be restored,
Just quickly, would you like those, if you were to do cha-cha, and with regard to the impeachment, would you want to be able to delete those 7 conditions as the Supreme Court had written in its decision calling the impeachment unconstitutional, sir?
Well, I'm not going to second guess the Supreme Court. I think they're the highest court of the land. But I will propose probably specific time limits for several steps in the procedure.
Okay.
Now, the substantive elements, I think that's up for the Constitutional Convention to determine.
House Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno, sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.